that, let's go through the system manager, how we can manage our Netapp cluster with the system manager. We'll go through all those stuff now. Okay, so yeah, I have already entered the IP address of my cluster management IP address of my cluster in the browser, so that it will redirect you to the system manager software, as it is inbuilt software within your Day-18-ONTAP. So whatever the credentials you have entered to connect to your cluster via putty, okay, same credentials you can enter here as well to log into the system manager. I'm entering same username, which is admin. Sorry, admin and password. Okay, so this is the system manager dashboard. Okay, this will show you like overview of your cluster. All systems are healthy. If some of the systems are not healthy, it will show you which system is not healthy. Everything it will show you. It will show you the capacity thing. Okay, and it will show you the performance statistics. As you see, the values are zero now because we are not accessing anything in this cluster, right? That is the reason everything is zero. And also it will show you how many SVMs are there, how many volumes on top of the SVM. Like we have two SVMs, on top of two SVMs combined together we have 7 volumes. Okay, it will show you everything here, just an overview. And if you expand storage, and if you go to yeah, if you go to overview, nothing, it will show you some unnecessary thing. This is not required actually. Okay, let's leave that. So if you want to access the storage, I mean aggregates, if you want to manage your aggregates, then you need to go to tiers. Okay, tiers. So here you'll be able to see your aggregates. See, this is my both the aggregates it is showing now. Okay, so if you want to create aggregate, you can do that from here. Okay, but here we don't have enough disks and all, right? But whatever we are doing, okay, I'll recommend you to do or practice everything from command line only, because companies will prefer the people who are working on command line. Okay, see, now I have clicked on one aggregate, so it is showing all the details, how many disks I have used under that aggregate, what on top of which node it created, what is the RAID type, all these things it will show you. Is it a mirror aggregate or not? Remaining things also we'll talk about them in advanced concepts. And here it will show you how much is the total size of aggregate and how much is used. And if you take a look at the disk information, it will show you in detail information, like what disks are involved in that aggregate creation, or what is a parity disk, deparity disk, what all data disks, how many RAID groups are there. Everything it will show you, like whatever you'll be able to see in command line, you'll be able to see that the same information here as well. Like if you want to rename the aggregate, you can do that. Like it will show you in detail information. Okay, you can change the name of the aggregate like that. Okay, but most of the aggregate related stuff you can do it from here. Rename, more details. Why it is not showing? So there is an option called return to classic version. If you click on that, what it will do, it will take you to the old system manager console, where which is a more flexible way to configure everything. Like if you go to, if you expand application, sorry, if you expand storage, here it will show you aggregates and all. Okay, and if you expand this aggregates and all, you'll be able to see a tab called aggregate, and click on aggregate, you'll be able to see all your aggregates, which you'll be not able to see on the new system manager. New system manager is not that good. Maybe I'm not sure that they'll change it or not. But yeah, this is a very good one. Like from here, you can create your aggregate. You can do a lot of stuff. Like for example, I want to change something. I want to change. Yeah, here it will show you in detail information about aggregate here itself. Okay. And if you want to change something, you need to select the aggregate and click on more actions. You can add the capacity from here. You can offline the aggregate, restrict the aggregate. You can convert it into a mirror aggregate. Like that, you can do plenty. And if you want to edit it, yeah, you can do that. Edit. In editing also, you can change all those things. Like that, everything can be done here from the old system manager. I don't know why they have not provided all these kind of options in new system manager. Yeah, but if you want to manage your aggregates from the system manager, you need to switch back to old system manager, and from there you need to expand storage, aggregate and disks, and go to aggregates. From here you'll be able to do rest of the things. And disks also, if you come to disks here, so it will show you how many spare disks you have. See, here it is showing how many spare disks you have. We have two spare drives here, one on node 1, one on node 2. See here, node details also it is showing. And if you click on inventory, it will show you all the disks available in your cluster. And if you want to format any of the disk, then there is a command there. Here is the button, 0 spares. So what it will do, it will identify the it will identify the spares and it will perform zeroing on them. Okay, like that. And if you want to assign ownership, you can do it from here. But we have, I mean, see, assign here, you can do that. Which controller ownership you want to assign. So based on that, you need to do everything from here itself. Okay, that is related to disks. Cloud tiers, ignore about it because we are going to discuss about that in advanced topics. There is a topic called fabric pool. During that topic, we are going to talk about them. And storage pool also we'll discuss in advanced topics, but we can't implement it in the lab, but I'll show you, I'll explain you. Okay. And if you go to nodes, it will show you all the node information and how many nodes you have, what is their uptime, which ONTAP version they are on, what is the hardware model, serial number, everything in detail, it will show you here. Okay. And if you click on SVM, it will show you your SVM details. What are the protocols allowed on top of the particular SVM? You need to select the SVM, so it will show you in the down. Okay. What is your SVM details and all. And if you want to change something, you can go to SVM settings and you can change you can configure the things on top of SVM. Like if you want to configure CIFS, you can do it from here. If you want to configure an NFS on top of your SVM, yeah, all the things you can do, the things whatever you want from here. Like they have changed plenty of things. Earlier these options are not available here, but now you can do everything from system manager itself. Okay, if you want to change something, you need to edit the SVM. For example, I don't want SKC and FC on my SVM1. So what I can do is uncheck them and save and close them. See, now only I can configure NFS and CIFS. You don't need to run commands and all. Okay, this is pretty simple. Next, volumes. See here. So whatever the volumes you created, you'll be able to see everything here itself. Volume name, what is is it thin provisioned volume or thick provisioned volume? What is the available size? What is the total size? Everything it will show you. Okay, in detailed information. From here, you can create a volume as well. See, flexible volume, flex group. Ignore about the flex cache. Okay, flexible volume. Create it. Let's create one flexible volume. Wall underscore sys mgr. We created it from system manager, right? That's why I selected that. And you need to select the aggregate from which aggregate you want to create. It will show you both the aggregates and it will show you the available space as well. Now I want to create it on top of node 2 aggregate. So I selected that. Okay. Is it a NAS volume or a DP? That's okay. Let's ignore that now. Okay. What is the size you want? I want like 10 GB space. And snapshot reserve also ignore it for now. Okay. And also you can select the parameter as well. Like, do you want to create your volume in MBs or GBs or TBs? Yeah, whatever the value. snap reserve, space reserve, ignore them. Yeah, one more thing, space reserve means nothing but here you can select, is it a thin provision volume, thick volume, you can select that, okay, from here itself. And we have so many fields along with that, like storage efficiency, snap lock, blah blah, so many things. Let's ignore them all for now. But in system manager you can configure these things in a single step, but from command line you need to do in multiple steps. But I'll recommend you to use command line only, because most of the things, everything can be done from command line, where few things you can't do it from uh, see this system manager GUI. Okay, let me create a volume now. Uh, okay, you cannot use hyphen or something like that, you need to use underscore something. Okay, hyphen is not allowed. See, I have created a volume. Now let's go to CLI and check that volume created or not. See, I'm able to see the volume, vol underscore sysmgr 10 GB volume, right? Like that. The same way, ignore about the LUNs and all. The same way you can create a Q trees, you can create Q trees, Q trees underscore sysmgr, on top of which volume you want to create. You need to, I want to create it on top of SVM1, this volume. So I selected that. That's it. Do you want to enable oplock or not? I don't want to enable oplock. Do you want to inherit the volume security style only to the Q tree security style, or do you want to use a different security style? That's up to you. Okay, create it. That's it. That's okay. You can ignore that. See, the Q tree got created on top of this volume with NTFS security style, everything. Okay. The same way, junction path is there. In this junction path only, you can mount it, you can unmount it, like that. Okay. In system, like if you create a volume via system manager, by default, everything will be mounted to the junction point only. Okay. You don't need to mount it separately. Okay, but if you want to unmount it and mount it under different volume or a different path, then you can do that. Like now, select the volume which you want to unmount. Okay, for example, let me do it for vol 1. Yeah, just click on unmount. Unmount. That's it. And if you want to mount something, yeah, mount. Click on mount. Select the volume. Junction name. Junction name means the one which will guard with junction path. And if you want, you can mount it to the junction point itself, or you can mount it under other volume also. Okay. See, yeah, that is volumes. Cute is junction paths. Now let's talk about quotas. We have already discussed about quotas, right? Like how many types of quotas we have, and when we'll choose which quota. We'll talk about those things, right? Now let's create a quota. Uh, Creating quota is very easy from command line. Sorry, system manager. It is little complex from the CLI, but I'll show you both. Okay. So here, user quota. You can create quotas from here. Just click on create. So it will open a separate window wizard. Okay. Click on next, and here you can select the quota type. Do you want to create a tree quota, user quota, or group quota? I want to create a tree quota. Select on top of which tutor you want to create. I want to create it on top of Q1. You need to select that. Okay. Now go next. So what is the hard limit? Here you need to mention the hard limit, soft limit, and threshold. Hard limit means this is the size of my Q tree. I'm just keeping it like 2 GB. Okay, 2 GB. That is my hard limit. That means my Q tree will cannot go beyond this limit. Okay. Next, soft limit is nothing but it is a kind of a warning you will get, like whenever it reached 1 GB. Okay. I mean, I have set soft limit as 1 GB here. That means whenever it reaches 1 GB, you'll get a warning here. Okay. You'll get a warning when it reaches 1 GB. And threshold means, again, it is another warning. Uh, we'll get it when my volume utilization, my Q3 utilization reaches 1.5 GB. Okay, like that. It is a kind of another warning. Okay, so basically soft limit and thresholds are warnings only, but hard limit is the thing which is the size of my Q3. I mean, limitation I'm setting on top of Q3. Okay, this is a space level limitation. Similarly, you can set limitation on file count as well. Like you can restrict um, people from putting files as well. Like for example, if I select one and if I select like a million here, then um, the users can only copy 1 million files on top of that Q3, or I can put it on 100 as well, 100. Only we can copy 100 files only, not more than that. When it reaches 100 files, even though if we have free space, my Q3 is under quota also, you'll get an error. Okay, you can set both, or if you can set only one. It's up to you. Okay. Yeah. For now, I'm not going to select file counting. Okay. Let's go next. See, everything it will display you whatever we have configured so far. Click on next. So what it is showing is here, you need to check this box compulsory. What it will do, it will enable the quota on top of volume level. In order to apply the quotas on Q3s, you need to enable the quota on top of volume where you have that Q3. Okay. Whenever you are doing this from system manager, everything will be taken care by system manager only automatically. But if you want to do it from command line, yeah, you can do it in multiple steps. You cannot do it in a single stretch. See here, what is the volume name, what is the Q3 name, what is the type of a quota you applied, did you apply any group or user quota? No, all users and all groups. No errors so far. And how much size is used, what is the hard limit, soft limit, everything it will show you. Okay. Yeah. Any questions on quota? Okay. Now let's do it from command line. How to do it from command line? Let's see that. So, quota report. So if you run this command, okay, what it will do, it will show you on top of which volume and Q3 you have enabled the quotas and their details as well. See, it will show you like a report. What is the soft limit, hard limit, all these things it will show you. Show, if you run this command, it will show you on top of which volumes it is quota is enabled, which volumes it is not enabled. It will show you everything. See, so far it is enabled only on wall 1. That means you can apply the quotas on top of the Q3s which are on top of wall 1 only. Okay, to the Q3s which are on top of wall 1. Now, so what we need to do, we need to modify server name. Even I don't do it actually from command line. So by default, there is a policy called default quota policy. Okay, by default, there is a policy called default quota policy. Okay, so and in this quota policy, we'll be having rules as well. Rules inside the quota policy. If you see here, I'm able to see a rule. I have not created any rule, right? This I have created from uh, system manager. So it automatically created a rule here. So what we can do, if you want to create a one more quota for another Q3 on the same volume or a different volume, then what you need to do, quota policy, you need to create another rule. Rule create vServer name, policy name. Okay, on top of which volume you want to apply this quota. I mean the Q tree. This is my volume, and the type is tree type. What is the target? In target place, you need to provide the Q tree name. So to the target only the quota will be applied, not to the volume. Okay, you cannot you cannot apply quotas on volume level. It is not required, right? Because volume has a specific size. Okay, and it will ask you, oh, what is the threshold? Threshold is 1.5 GB. Okay, what is the soft limit? Sorry, soft disk limit. Here it is the soft limit, like 1 GB. And what is the hard limit? Uh, yeah, what is the disk limit? Disk limit means nothing but hard limit, 2 GB. Like that, you can create. If you want to implement file level count as well, you can use that file limit, soft file limit, those things. For now, let's ignore them. Specified Q tree does not exist. Q tree show. Oh, okay. Sorry. On top of that volume, we don't have that Q311, right? That is on a different volume. Now, what I'm going to do, yeah, I need to provide this one, Q3 Sys Manager. Yeah, that's it. Now, if you Q3 show, sorry, quota show, still I have not enabled quota on top of this volume, right? So what I need to do, I need to enable the quota on top of this volume. Okay, quota on vServer name and volume name. Okay. Now, if you check quota show, see now it is enabled on top of this volume. Now let's take a look at the quota report. See, I'm able to see quota that enabled on top of this volume as well. Sorry, this Q tree as well. And let's check the same thing from GUI. See, I'm able to see the quota here as well. Okay, this is the way you need to configure from CLI. So one more thing, guys. One vServer will be having one vServer can have only one quota policy, one quota policy. I mean, you can create multiple policies, multiple quota policies, but you can use only one quota policy at a time for entire vServer. So whenever you want to apply a quota on top of volume, what you need to do, you need to create a rule in the same policy. Okay, you need to create a rule in the same policy, just like how we have created now. Okay, while creating the rule itself, it will ask us, right, on top of which volume you want to apply on which Q tree and what is the limit and all. We are going to provide all the details, right? Yeah. So this is how you need to create a quota. After creating the rule inside the quota policy, you need to enable the quota on top of the volume. Once you enable it, yeah, that's it. The quota will be applicable to volume. Okay. Generally, this is a little lengthy procedure, right? Like from command line, you need to create a rule and after that enable it manually. But everything can be done in GUI in a single shot, and also it is very easy right now to do it from CLI. Sorry, GUI. So only cute quotas, I'll recommend you to do it from GUI. Okay. But yeah, just practice it from the command line as well. Any questions, guys? Okay. Now I got a requirement, like my requester who is using this Q tree and asked me to increase the quota. He want me to increase it to 5 GB. Yeah, I can do that. Resize, I guess. Yeah, resize. Server name, volume name. No, actually, wait through quota policy, modify quota policy rule, modify server name, policy name, which volume name. What is the quota type? Target. My target is this Q3, right? Now I want to change the disk limit. Earlier it is 2 GB, right? Now I want to set it to 5 GB. And along with that, I'll also change the soft limit, because if I don't change the soft limit, I'll get warning at only 1 GB, right? So now I'll change it to 2.5 G, so that whenever my quota is half full, I'll get it. And the same way, let's change the threshold as well. Let me set my threshold to 4.5 G. So whenever my quota occupied Q3 occupied 4.5 GB, I'll get another. But still, when you see quota report, still whatever the values you have modified, see, you'll be not able to see them. Still, it is showing only 2 GB, the hard limit and all. And from GUI also, it will be the same. You'll be not able to see them. Refresh it. Still, I'm not able to see anything. Still, it is showing only, oh, it applied here. Let me see. Maybe they have changed it actually, but in older for you, but it will be not applied. Okay. So my recommendation is to, whenever you change something related to quota, okay, whenever you have changed something related to quota, even though if it show you like applied, it will be not applicable. My user will get error whenever he reaches a 2 GB, like the quota limit reached, something like that. So whenever you modified the configuration related to quota on an existing volume or existing Q3, okay, what you need to do, you need to turn off and turn on the quota. Then only the new values will be applied to that quota, Q3 quota. Okay. So what we need to do, volume, sorry, not volume, quota off, just turn it off, server name and volume name. Okay. And again, turn it on. That's it. So what it will do, it will rearrange the quota configurations, reapply the quota configurations. So whatever the changes you made on the quota, you'll be able to see them here. See, now it is showing 5 GB. Okay. So don't trust the GUI. Actually, that is what I came to know today. It is showing straight away, but those settings will be not applicable to your Q3. The quota, new quota settings will be not applicable to Q3 until you turn off and turn on the quota again. So you have to do this step. Okay, whenever you modified something or whenever you have applied a quota on top of your Q3, for example, this is very, very important. They'll ask you in interview. Okay, I have created another Q3. Let's assume that Q3 7 or something. Security set TFS, blah blah blah. Let's leave it. Okay, now I have created another Q3. Now I want to apply quota on top of this Q3 7 as well. Okay, so I'm going to create a rule in the policy rule, create server name, default policy. What is the volume name? Vol underscore manager. What is the type? I want to use tree only. Target Q37. What is the disk limit? 4 GB. Soft disk limit 2 GB. Threshold 3.5 GB, something like that. Okay. And if you see quota report. See, still I'm not able to see it here. Why? Because in order to make any quota changes reflected, what you need to do, you need to disable and enable the quota on top of the volume. If quota is already enabled on the volume, already my on top of my wall underscore sys manager, quota is already enabled, right? So I have configured another quota for different Q3 on the same volume. So in order to reflect those changes, what you need to do, you need to turn off and turn on the quota. Okay, don't forget that. They'll ask you in interview as well. But I don't know how it is visible in system manager. Okay, but when it comes to CLI, you'll be not able to see it. And don't trust system manager. Whatever you see on CLI, that is true. Okay, so as you don't see it here in under quota report, that means the quota is not applied to your Q3. Okay, what you need to do, again, do the same thing. Turn off the quota and turn it on the volume. Just run the command quota report. See, now you will be able to see it. Okay. Any questions, guys?
No, no.
This is very, very important quotas. You guys will do it very frequently. Okay. Now let's go with the protocols now. Today we'll start protocols. So NAS. What is the full form of NAS? Network attached storage, right? And one more thing, guys, a system manager, just browse it. Okay, make yourself comfortable with the system manager also. But generally, my recommendation is to use CLI only. Okay, so NAS. In NAS, we have two protocols, right? One is CIFS protocol, another one is NFS. Okay, these are the two protocols available to us in NAS. So again, in CIFS will be used only for Windows and Mac systems. Okay, CIFS will be used for Windows and Mac, and NFS will be used for all other flavors like Linux, Unix, all these flavors, right? So first we'll talk about CIFS in detail. Okay, we'll configure it. I think we'll be not able to configure it today. Maybe we'll configure it tomorrow, but we'll talk about that CIFS theoretically. What are the things we need to configure CIFS and how it will work in the background? All those things we'll discuss today. Okay, let's start. So normally CIFS. What is the full form of CIFS? Common Internet File System. Okay, this is the full form of CIFS. So this has another name called SMB. Sometimes people will call it as SMB as well. Okay, this is a new name actually. CIFS is an old name and SMB is the new name for this protocol. Server message block. Okay, that is the full form of SMB. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Server message block. So by using this protocol only, either SMB or CIFS, whatever it is, by using this protocol only, we can present storage to clients, Windows and Mac clients. So in order to configure this, we need a few more things. Okay, in order to configure these things, we need to gather some information. What kind of information we required, what all the components we need to configure this. We'll talk about them now. Okay, so Before jumping into CIFS configuration, I just want to discuss about few things. The first one is Active Directory. Active Directory, which we'll call it as AD in shortcut. Okay, Active Directory or AD. So this Active Directory is a centralized, okay, authentication mechanism. It is a centralized authentication mechanism. Every company will maintain this Active Directory. Okay, every company will maintain this Active Directory. For example, if you are working in a company called XYZ, then your company will be having a Active Directory uh, domain. Okay, Active Directory domain like xyz.com, or might be xyz.car, or whatever it is. XYZ, it contains something like this, xyz dot something, whatever it is, mm, in or something like that. Okay, they'll maintain a Active Directory domain. So what will be there in this Active Directory? This Active Directory contains information about employees, in detail information. Okay, so whenever any new employee joins, okay, the organization, they'll create an account for that particular user in Active Directory. Okay, so that contains name of the employee, sorry, name of the employee, employee ID, username, password, email ID, department, all these things, everything related to employee will be stored in the Active Directory. That is why I called it as a centralized repository, centralized authentication mechanism repository. Okay, some companies will maintain multiple Active Directories. Some companies, some organizations will maintain only single Active Directory. Okay, that is again based on their requirement, they'll do that. Okay, so I don't know that you guys have observed it or not, and how many guys of you are working. So whenever you got a office laptop, if you want to log into that laptop, you need to log in with this Active Directory account only, with the help of this Active Directory username and password. Uh, Something like, for example, my Active Directory account is xyz.com. Okay, I need to provide a username like this, and my username is Naveen P. Let's assume that. So I need to enter a username like this, my Active Directory domain name and my username. After that, I need to enter the password. Okay, after that, I need to enter the password. Once I enter it, I'll be able to log into the office laptop. Same thing, not only this. So by using this particular account only, we'll log into our storages, we'll log into servers, whatever the things related to our office, everything everything we will log in using this Active Directory username and password only. Okay, Active Directory username and password only. By using this username and password only, you'll be able to access everything. And by default, whenever a new employee joined, as I told you, right, they'll create a new account for them. So they'll set up a default password, something like welcome 123 or whatever it is, or change me, something like that. They'll create every organization will have a default password, they'll set it. And um, whenever you first logged into your laptop or a server by using your Active Directory domain account, it will prompt you to change the password. Okay, you need to enter your password there. From, I mean, you must actually, you must change the password. You need to enter this default password and it will ask you to change the password. So once you enter it, the password got changed, and you need to use the same username and the password which you changed right recently. You need to use that password. Okay, so for example, how Active Directory will work. Okay, For example, my organization will has offices in USA. Okay, they also has office in Australia. Let's assume that in Australia we have office at Sydney, and in India also we have office. Okay, let's assume that it is in Hyderabad. Okay, so this Active Directory is a service. Okay, this Active Directory is a service which they will configure on top of a Windows server. Okay, a Windows server. They need to enable that service and they need to configure the domain and all. Okay, which is not our responsibility. Windows team or some organizations will have a separate team to maintain Active Directory also. Okay, so in every data center, we'll be having maybe one or two Active Directory servers. Mostly every organization will maintain at least two Active Directory servers in each and every data center. Okay, let's assume that in let's assume that I have two Active Directory servers in USA, two Active Directory servers in India, two Active Directory servers in Sydney. Like two servers where Active Directory is configured. Okay, so all of them contains the same configuration information. All of them contains the same configuration information. Okay, all the location Active Directories contains same information. So for example, let's assume that there is a new employee joined our organization. Okay, new employee joined our organization in India location employee. So whenever so HR will open a ticket with Active Directory team to create a user account, email ID, blah blah, so many things. Okay, whenever you created a new user account in India Active Directory, what it will do? It will distribute that configuration across the all Active Directory servers in the other regions as well. It will distribute the, for example, administrator logged into this Active Directory and he created the user account. Okay, the same configuration will be distributed to the other Active Directory server in the same location and also other Active Directory servers in different locations as well. Okay, there will be sync enabled between all the Active Directory servers in your organization. Okay, with the help of that sync mechanism, whatever the configurations you changes you make on top of these Active Directory servers will be replicated to or will be copied to other Active Directory servers as well. Same thing. For example, if any new employee join in Sydney and if we create a user account, that information will be uh, again distributed to other Active Directory servers in different locations as well. Okay, this is how Active Directory will work. Active Directory is that is the reason I called it as a centralized authentication mechanism. That means across the organization, okay, the Active Directory user account and password will work. Any questions? So you need to enter the username and password, same username and password whenever you want to log into something. Not only servers and storages, if you want to log into your office portals, some internal portals will be there, right? To fill your timesheet or to fill some activities. These things also you'll use the same username and password. So this is the Active Directory. Okay. So, and one more thing, will it only useful for authentication? No, apart from authentication, it will be very useful for authorization as well. Authentication and authorization, these two are different things. Okay. This typo is there, spelling mistake. Let's ignore it. Okay, authorization means nothing but okay, now I am part of this Active Directory. So I have my username and password. Can I get access to everything? No. For example, in my environment, I have, let's assume that I have three servers, three storages or four storages. So my storage account was added, my username and password, my account was added to only two storages or two servers. Okay. Let's assume this is S1, S2, S3, okay, and S4. Now I can log into S1 and S2 with my Active Directory username and password because I am authorized to log into those devices. Someone provided me access to those devices. But when I try to log into S3 or S4 servers or storages, I'll be not able to do that because I am not authorized to log into those devices, right? This is what authorization means. Okay, I'm part of domain. That doesn't mean that I can log into anything and I can do whatever I want. No, this domain account will help me to authenticate. That means, okay, he is part of our company, our organization, and whatever the username and password he entered is correct. Okay, but when it comes to authorization, you must have access to that device to log into it. Someone has to provide permission to log into it. Someone has to add your account username to that device. Then only you'll be able to log into that device. That is what we'll call it as authorization. Okay. Any questions? Any questions, guys? Cool. If you are silent, then I assume that you understand it. Okay. Now let's talk about DNS. Why I'm discussing about all, actually these uh, are not relevant to us. Like we are not going to manage Active Directory or we are not going to manage DNS, whatever things I'm discussing now. But we need to know how they will work. Like it is better to know how they will work in the backend, so that it will be easy for us to manage the CIFS and to troubleshoot the CIFS. That is the reason I'm discussing them. Actually, there is no need to discuss about all these things in detail like this. Okay. DNS means domain name service. Okay, or domain name server. Okay, we'll call it as. So this DNS is a service. Again, it is also a service like Active Directory. Okay, which will be configured on top of a server. Okay, and one more thing, guys. I'm saying right, all these are services. Okay, wherever we have configured Active Directory, DNS, these kind of services, right? We'll call that particular server as domain server. Okay, we'll call that particular server as domain server. On top of domain server only, these all services will be configured. Okay. So DNS is also a service which will be taken care by either Windows team or Active Directory team. Okay, they have to enable it they have to configure it. So what this service will do? This service will map IP address to host name and host name to IP address. Okay, I'll tell you. I'll show you the real-time example. What is DNS? So normally, you people are using YouTube, Facebook, and all, right? Right. For example, we will use Google very frequently. So here we are entering just google.com and it is opening. How? Because there is a IP address, okay, which will be mapped to that name. Okay. So if you do like this, like ping google.com, if you run this command, see, normally actually ignore about this. This is a IPv6 address. See, normally this particular name is linked with this IP address, and this IP address belongs to a server. Okay, so whenever you enter this name, this will be connected to this IP, and they have hosted the Google application and Google services on top of this server. So with the help of this name, it is connecting to this IP, and from this IP, it is fetching the Google website and all for you. Okay, this is how it will work. Okay, Same way, not only that. For example, now we are accessing a site called Lab on Demand, right? labondemand.netapp.com. Let's see what is the IP behind that. See, this is the IP address behind. This is where they have hosted this Lab on Demand software. The whatever the things, application, database, whatever the things which are making it work. Okay, all these things are hosted on top of this particular server. Okay, for example, instead of giving this name labondemand.netapp.com name, I gave you this IP. Okay, I told you to use this IP to log into the lab on demand site. See, it is taking me there. It is connecting to, see, connected to lab on demand only, right? If I gave you the IP address and asked you to remember it by using this IP only, you can connect to the lab on demand. Okay, for now you can remember it. For example, you have not practiced it for like a month. After a month, will you be able to remember that IP address? No, right? It is not possible. Like we cannot remember these things. For example, okay, this is a IPv4 address, very easy to remember. What if I told you to, you need to remember this IP address in order to access a Google account? It is impossible, right? To remember this IP. I mean, it is very hard, not impossible, very hard, right? You'll stop using Google. That is the reason, instead of using or memorizing these kind of information, DNS will help us to link the IPs to a name so that we can remember the names easily. So we don't need to remember IPs. Okay, right? That is the main use case of DNS. In DNS, your a name will be mapped to IP and IP will be mapped to a name. Okay, so you don't need to remember the IP. What you can do, you can uh, remember the name, because that is very easy to remember. And also one more thing, I don't know that you have observed it here or not. How you are connecting to your cluster? You are connecting to the cluster by using name, right? So if I click on load, see, this is the name which our cluster management IP is mapped in the lab DNS. Okay, so if you, for example, if you ping here within the lab, ping your cluster one, see, it is linked with my cluster management IP. That is the reason I'm able to connect to my cluster with the help of name. If DNS is not there, I'll be not able to do that. If I remove the DNS entry, I'll be not able to connect to my cluster with the name, because this is not linked with my IP address. What you need to do, you must use the IP address. Okay, that is the advantage of that is the main functionality of DNS. Okay, any questions on AD and DNS?
No, Naveen, I'm good.
Thank you. Next thing is NT, network time protocol, or we also call it as network transport protocol. So what this service will do, this is also another service which will be configured along with Active Directory and the DNS on top of the domain server. Okay, so this is a time service. This is a time service. Okay, for example, I have 4 servers in my environment. Okay, do you know that if you want to establish the communication between these 4 servers, not only servers, if you want to establish communication between any device, okay, uh, via network, the time difference between those devices must be less than 5 minutes. Okay, less, if the time difference between the devices is less than 10 minutes, then only I'll be able to I mean, the communication will be more efficient. Okay, if the time difference is more than 5 minutes, 5 minutes. Just a second, guys. Yeah, yeah. If my yeah, okay. If the time difference is more than 5 minutes, then the devices will be not able to communicate with each other. Okay. Normally, for example, if I am maintaining the time on the 4 devices manually, okay, if I'm maintaining the time on these devices manually, then maybe now everything is linked with the international time zones, right? On our laptops and everything are linked with internet. That is the reason all the time, even though if you shut down your laptop and for months and years also, it will be able to sync with the time automatically. But uh, I don't know how many of you have used XP operating system. Do you know, like, it will give it used to give us like a lot of trouble, Windows XP, with the time. The time, every time, if you're not using internet very frequently, you must manage the time manually, right? So that used to cause us a lot of problems. So generally what this NTP will do, NTP is another service which will be enabled on top of our domain server. Let's assume that this is my domain controller, DC. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to link all my devices in the data center with this DC, so that I don't need to worry about the time and all. Okay, the NTP service on this DC will make sure that all the all the devices in that region will be running on the same time, so that there will be no impact because of time with respect to communication. Okay, this is the service which will take care of the timeline, I mean time and all. Okay, so these are the three things we need to configure CIFS. Okay, so generally cluster NTP, I think cluster, how we'll configure time NTP, I'll show you now. Cluster time service NTP status. Oh, sorry, need to run status show. Yeah, status show. If I run this command, will show, it is showing nothing. So what you need to do, cluster time services NTP server create. You need to provide the server IP address here, 192.168.0.253. uh, Version and all, ignore it. Okay, uh, so like here you can add the NTP server to cluster. Okay, so that the time will be managed by NTP server on our cluster. Our NTP server only will manage the time and will make sure that our cluster is running on a proper time. Okay, this is how you can configure NTP. So NTP server show authentication. Like, this is not that easy. You need to provide the authentication. So many things here. Yeah, but this is the minimum main command to configure the time services on your cluster. Okay. Um, Next thing is, yeah, let's talk about how the CIFS will work. Okay, so let's assume that I have a 4 node cluster. Okay, this is my 4-node cluster. And I have created a V server on top of this cluster, SVM1. So, and let's assume that this is my domain controller. Okay, this is my domain controller where all the services are configured like AD, DNS, NTP, everything is configured on top of this server. Okay, so when I want to configure the CIFS on top of my V server, what do I need to do? I need to enable the communication between my V server and domain controller. Okay, I need to enable the communication between my V server and domain controller. I'll show you how to do that and all. Don't worry about that. How to do it, I'll show you tomorrow. Just understand the concept today. Okay. So after enabling the communication, I'm going to configure another virtual server. My already my SVM is a virtual server, right? I'm going to configure a CIFS virtual server. Okay, CIFS virtual server on top of that SVM. Okay, CIFS virtual server on top of that SVM. So we need to configure CIFS. While configuring the CIFS, it will automatically create this CIFS virtual server on our SVM. So once we configure the CIFS virtual server, already my SVM is linked with domain control, right? So that through that connection, my CIFS virtual server also will be linked with my Active Directory domain controller. Okay. So whenever you want to present a storage, present storage through CIFS, we do it to usernames. Okay. I told you Active Directory contains all employee information in the Active Directory services. Domain controller, Active Directory service will contain all employee information, including their usernames, passwords, everything will be there, right? So in CIFS, we will present storage to user accounts, not servers. Okay, for example, xyz.com slash Naveen P. For example, this user is there. Now this user is asking for 100 GB. Okay, so what we are going to do, I'm going to create a volume here and I will link this volume to my V server. Okay, and in this V server, CIFS virtual server, as I have configured CIFS virtual server, in CIFS virtual server, I'm going to do some configurations stating that this volume should be visible to this 100 GB volume should be only visible to, okay, should only visible to this user in my Active Directory. Okay, I'll do the configuration. After that, I'm going to give that storage details to a user. Okay, storage details to a user. So what he is going to do, he he let's assume that there are 3 servers. So he needs to log into any of the server with his username. Let's assume that he logged into this particular server with his username and password. So from this server, he can use the storage and he can copy the data. So here in CIFS, the storage will be linked with the user, Active Directory user in CIFS protocol, not to any server. Okay, that is how CIFS protocol will work. Okay, for example, instead of this server, yeah, he can log into this server and he can access the same storage because he's using the same username and same user account which the storage linked with. So only thing is he has to use the same account to log into the server. Then only he'll be able to access it. Okay. Is it clear? Any questions so far? Okay. So now we'll see what is happening in the background. Like when he is trying to access the storage, what will happen in the background? So I told you, right? We are going to provide the storage details to the user. Now he logged into this first server. Let me make it little bright here. Let me use a different color. Yeah, blue is better. So now he logged into this server. Now from this server, he is trying to access the storage. When he tried to access the storage, okay, first the request will go to CIFS virtual server, stating that one of the user, this particular user is trying to access the storage. Okay. Then what virtual CIFS server will do? First, it will send that request to, it will redirect that request to Active Directory and domain controller, and it will ask Active Directory to check that if that user is part of our domain or not. Okay. What virtual CIFS server will do? It will first send that information to Active Directory domain server, and it will ask Active Directory to check that Naveen P, is he part of our Active Directory domain or not. It will ask Active Directory to check that. Okay. So then Active Directory, what it will do? And not only that, and it will also ask Active Directory to validate the password. So while accessing the while trying to log into the server, he entered the password as well, right? So it will ask the user to while accessing the storage, he entered the password also. So it will ask the Active Directory to, if user is there, then it will ask the Active Directory to validate the password the user entered. So virtual CIFS server checking the authentication with Active Directory server. That is the reason why our SVM and virtual CIFS server has to have a connection with Active Directory server to check the authentication of the user, because the storage is linked with the user account. So if he try to access the storage, he needs to provide his username and password, right? So whenever he entered the username and password, someone has to validate the data, right? The user is part of the Active Directory or not, and whatever the password he entered is also uh, correct password or not. Okay. If the user is part of Active Directory and the password whatever he entered is a correct password, then Active Directory will send that confirmation to CIFS virtual server, and the request will go forward. If the user is not part of Active Directory, or if the password the provided by the user is wrong, then the same information will be um, conveyed to virtual CIFS server, and virtual CIFS server will send a bad request to user, stating that the user does not exist, or the password is a wrong password, something like that. It will not, in this scenario the request will not go forward. It will throw an error. The user will get an error. He'll not get access to the storage. Okay. For example, everything is good. Now the user got access, whatever the details user entered, the username and password, they are correct. Then what it will do? It will send the confirmation. Now the request will goes forward, right? So what it will do? It will go to the V server and it will go to the volume. Here, now authentication part is completed. Still, authorization is not confirmed, right? Authorization means this particular user, is he really has access to that volume or Q3, whatever it is, storage space. It will check for the authorization. If he is part of that if he has access to that volume, then immediately he will get access to the storage and he can copy the data and he can see the data in the storage space. If he don't have access to the um that volume, then again the same will be conveyed to the virtual CIFS server, and virtual CIFS server will throw error to user that you are not authorized to access the storage. Okay. So there is a a hell lot of difference between authentication and authorization. Authentication means just validating the username and password. Authorization means is he have access to that particular storage space or particular device or not. Okay, so this is what will happen in the backend when it comes to CIFS. Any questions? Or do you want me to explain one more time? Or do you have any question in a specific part or specific area?
So CFS is used both for authentication and authorization.
CIFS is a protocol, sir. Okay,
Yeah.
which will provide access to the users on our storage space. Okay, so authentication and authorization is part of the access. Like when someone try to access the storage through CIFS protocol, it will check for authentication and authorization with the help of Active Directory server. Okay. So if you don't have any questions, yeah, then let's proceed further. Like we have one more thing. So as you know, CIFS is a not a viable protocol. Like this is a vulnerable protocol, CIFS, and Windows is also not a secure system, right? When you compare with Windows with other operating systems like Mac is secure, Linux, Unix, these are very secure systems. But Windows is a very less secure system. That is the reason I don't know that if you have heard about it or not. Uh, Ransomware virus, which attacked in 2018, I guess 17 or 18. So, which impacted only Windows systems. Why? Because Windows is much vulnerable. That means a weak operating system compared to other operating systems like a Red Hat Linux, Ubuntu, these kind of Linux and Unix systems or Mac systems. Okay, but why still people are using it? Very easy to use, and it has lot of services which are not available in other operating systems. So we need to use them. Then how can we protect the data? So the same like Windows, CIFS is also not strong protocol. So that is the reason what we need to do. We'll be having a dedicated server. Okay, we'll be having a dedicated server where we need to install antivirus, AV, antivirus. This is not a normal antivirus. We'll be having separate antivirus for designed for NAS antivirus. This is not a normal antivirus which we will install in our laptops or desktops or servers. There is a separate antivirus software designed for NAS purpose. Not all companies has this antivirus mechanism. Only few companies like Symantec, okay, McAfee, few systems, few antivirus vendors only they have developed antivirus for NAS. So what it will do generally? So now my user got access to the share, right? Now he is trying to access the data. Now he is trying to copy some data. So whenever he copies the data will reach the CIFS virtual server. And what CIFS virtual server will do, it will not copy the data directly to the controllers or volumes. First, it will ask antivirus server to scan the data. Whatever the data copied on the CIFS server, it will go through antivirus scanning here. Once the antivirus scanning is completed, then only the data will be copied to the our controller and the volume. Okay. If it found any virus or something in during the scanning, it will remove that virus and it will heal the data. Then only it will send the data to the server. I mean, it will store the data in the storage. Why we need antivirus scanning and all for CIFS protocol? Because CIFS is a weak protocol, and whatever the systems we are using, right, Windows servers all not secure when you compare them with other protocol, other servers. Same thing. Only for CIFS only we need this antivirus scanning. For other protocols, you don't require antivirus scanning and all. Okay, and again, this is an optional thing. Okay, this is an optional. If you can configure CIFS without antivirus scanning also. But if you want to be more secure, then you need to implement antivirus scanning. It is recommended by Netapp. Or else you can. I have seen many companies who are using CIFS without antivirus scanning also. You can say that okay, my servers are already antivirus is installed on top of them, all the servers. Okay, and to my storage, which is an end location, I just want to scan it so that my data, I am sure that my data is very secure. So that is the reason you need to maintain antivirus scanning for NAS. Uh, Normally, without antivirus scanning, also you can run that, but yeah, so that it will be your data will be protected. If even though if someone inserted a virus intentionally during when my data is in transit, that means when my data in network layer. Okay, yeah, I'm going to show you all these things practically tomorrow. Just understand them theoretically how they will work and how CIFS will work in the backend. Yeah, and one more thing, not only a single user, you can provide access to multiple users on the same volume. For example, I have another user called in the same domain xyz.com slash Zubair. Yeah, I can give access to him as well. Okay, like that I can provide access to multiple users on the same server. So simultaneously Naveen is accessing from this server and Zubair is accessing from this server. Yeah, both of them can, they'll be able to access this storage from different servers same time. Yeah, it is possible in NAS. Okay, yeah, ask me if you have any questions, or else we'll see the practicals tomorrow. It's already 10:22. Yeah, okay, see you tomorrow then. Thank you guys.
Okay.